Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all in this lecture number 27 of module 4, that is production and services. So basically in this lecture we are going to discuss about productions. So let's start. So previously we talked about dimension of education, dimension of health, justice, and in this lecture we are going to discuss about production and services. So what would be the goal of this dimension of production and service? So number one, to produce or manufacture the physical facilities and materials needed for proper utilization. So while living, we need physical facilities, and it is also required to proper utilize the available physical facilities. So to utilize the available physical facilities, it is required enough physical facility for us. So to communicate, to travel, to convey our feelings, to convey our thoughts, a physical facility would be required. So that's why this dimension of production plays a very important role in a human society. Another objective could be to make necessary services available for everyone. So for these two purposes, there is a need for production. So that's why we are discussing this production dimension of production. So the important questions related to productions are what to produce, how to produce, and how much to produce. Are these three questions important for you or not? So ask yourself, take a pause, and investigate before producing physical facility. These questions should be answered. What to produce, how to produce, and how much to produce. So let's explore all these questions. So what to produce? Definitely whatever we are going to produce, physical facilities or material, actually it is required to ensure nutrition, protection, and health of the body. So one objective of producing things is to ensure nurturing, protection, and health of the body. Then another is producing physical facility needed for smooth running and maintenance of the system in the society. So if you observe the role of physical facility, you can find out these two roles very prominently. Number one, physical facility is required for nurturing, protection, and right utilization of the body, health of the body. And number two, physical facilities are also required for smooth running and maintenance of the system. So for this purpose, the production is required. Now we can discuss how to produce. So how to produce? So production processes needs to be cyclic and eco-friendly. So number one, it should be eco-friendly. So eco-friendly means it should be complementary to all the four orders. So if it is complementary to rest of the three orders, it is eco-friendly. So along with this eco-friendly, it also needs to be people-friendly. So eco-friendly and people-friendly are two indicators of the ethical production. So when the production is eco-friendly, it means all the people who are involved in the production are working with the feeling of justice, with the feeling of mutual happiness. If it is ensured, it is known as people friendly. And while producing, if the production or if the produced ensures harmony with rest of the three orders, it means it is eco-friendly. So it keeps relationship and mutual behavior in the focus. So you can think of these two steps, whether these steps are important or not. So ethical production is a production where this eco-friendliness and people-friendliness is ensured. So if every member of the family is participating in the production, there is no need to take out any extra time for maintaining relationships and mutual behavior. So if in a system there is enough scope for every family member to produce the things, then there is no need to take extra time, because it is involved during the process with family members. So along with this, probability of exploitation will also become minimum. So if family produces with mutual happiness, with the feeling of justice, then this probability of exploitation become minimum. So if we ensure these two things along with this relationship, then exploitation of resources and exploitation of human beings involved in the process get minimized. Number 3, how much to produce. So how much to produce? More than our need. So what is required for nurturing, protection, as we talked many times during the previous courses, during the previous lectures. So more than our need is required to produce. More than our need because of the feeling of sharing. So if I have more than required physical facility, I can share that physical facility with our relative. We can use that physical facility for our society. So that's why there is required more than our need. So if we are talking about need for right utilization at the level of individual, family, society, and system. So once we are producing more than our need, then second important point is what is available to us. It should be rightly utilized by individual, by family, by society, by system also. So if we follow these, if we investigate this, then the process becomes ethical. So more is required for fulfillment of the needs in relationship and for the system. More is required to be free from the feeling of being deprived. More is required to develop the mentally and practice to share and give. So all these things, the more is required. So how much to produce? More than our need. Why more? Because of fulfillment of needs in relationships. Because of to be free from feeling of deprivation. Because of to develop the mentality and practice should share the things. This more than need is not for indulgence or misutilization. More than is required for this purpose. So far we discussed 3 important questions. Number 1, what to produce? So what is to be produced? We should produce those physical facilities that are required for nurturing, protection and health of the body, or that is required for smooth running and maintenance of the system. Then we discussed how to produce. How to produce, it means it should be cyclic and eco-friendly. So with this eco-friendly, this people-friendly factor should be there. Then we talked about how much to produce. So how much to produce? More than our need. And more than our need is not for indulgence or misutilization. More than our need is for fulfillment of the needs in relationship. Then we can talk about recognizing need of physical facility, because recognizing need is an important factor. How much to produce? More than our need. So it is important that we should recognize our need. So that's why we are going to discuss this topic, recognizing need of physical facilities. So if you see need of human being, so before discussing need of human being, we should be clear what is human being. So as we previously talked about this coexistence of self and body many times, you must have read this coexistence of self and body in UHV 2, in UHV 3, and during this course also in previous slides we studied many times about the coexistence of self and body. But here I am going to briefly describe it so that you can grasp the concept of production. So before talking about need, we should be able to recognize what is our real need. And it can be identified when we are able to see that human being is a coexistence of self and body. So to understand the needs of a human being, we need to look into the needs of self as well as the body. So once I am clear what is the need of self, what is the need of the body, then we can identify our need clearly. So we studied it that this human being is a coexistence of self and body, and needs of self is happiness, prosperity in continuity. Needs of body is physical facility. Needs and activities are continuous in time, in consciousness, in the self, and need and activity are temporary in time for the body. So with this we studied about self-regulation. If we have feeling of self-regulation, so if we have feeling of this self-regulation, we are able to ensure the health. So self-regulation, we read about the feeling of responsibility towards the body, feeling of responsibility to nurture, to protect, and to right utilize the body is self-regulation. So when we see physical facility in this context of nurturing, protection, and right utilization, so when we see this physical facility in the context of nurturing, protection, and right utilization of the body, then we can investigate that the required physical facility is limited. So food for nurturing is limited in quantity. Clothes, shelter for protection is actually limited in a quantity. Instrument for the right utilization of the body is actually limited in the quantity. So we can say that the physical facility required for the body is limited in quantity. So once we are clear that the physical facility is limited in quantity, then we identify our need. What is our real need? Then we can identify what is our real need. So with this clarity, we are able to find out our need. And with this clarity of need, we can have feeling of prosperity. So the feeling of prosperity is the feeling of having or producing more than required physical facility. So for this feeling, two things are required. Number one, identification of required physical facility, and number two, ensuring availability or production of more than required physical facility. And this clarity of identification of need can be ensured with right understanding. And this availability, production of more than required physical facility is ensured with right skills. So to have the clarity of needs, these two things are required. Number one, identification of required physical facility that can be ensured through right understanding. And number two, availability or production of more than required that can be ensured with right skills. So with this right skills, right understanding of need, we can have feeling of prosperity, and we can identify, we can recognize our real needs. So when we identify our real needs, when we are able to find out our required physical facility, then we have feeling of prosperity. And a prosperous person thinks of right relation, nurturing the other. So when we have feeling of prosperity, we think of the nurturing and protection of our relatives. So with this clarity, we can evaluate our needs. But if we see the state of today, there is a shortage of physical facility, not because of the lack of production or absence of production. So there is a shortage of physical facility is because lack of right understanding, is lack of recognition of real needs. So this is one data. You can read it, that global production is 6 times than requirement, and wastage of food is 1/3 of the production, and this wastage is enough to feed 1300 crore people per year. So the food is being wasted not because of the lack of production, it is because of the lack of right understanding, due to which we are not able to find out our real need. And because of the absence of this right understanding, enough food that is required for 1300 crore people per year is being wasted. So why it is happening? We have to ask ourselves, have we understood human needs? Have we understood right utilizations? Is shortage a question of production or distribution? It is a question of basically right understanding. So all this you have to explore. Then we can talk about what to produce. So what to produce? So we will study the types of production. So production is required for physical facility, services which include repair and maintenance work. For all these, production is required. And with this we can see the types of production. So number one, primary production and services. So primary production, a production which is required for nurturing and protection of the body. For example, food, clothes, shelters. And similarly, services. Primary services are services that are required to ensure the above production. So cooking, cleaning, care of children, hair cutting, etc. So this is the primary production. It should be ensured at first priority. Then we can go for secondary production and services. So secondary production means equipment, instruments required to produce physical facilities. For example, tractor for farming, cement mixer, truck, train, etc. And to ensure the above, services are required. Repairing services are required, maintenance services are required. So this is the second priority production. Then the tertiary production and services are like instrument, designing, coding, software, etc. These are tertiary production. And whatever is required to maintain this service is required for that. So if we decide the priority order of this production, we can say first priority is this, second priority is this, and third priority is this. So you can ask yourself, you can observe in the society, are we following this order? If we follow this order, then everyone will have enough physical facility. So with right understanding, we can find out which production is required at priority. So with right understanding, we can see primary production is required, then secondary, and then tertiary production is required. So primary production and services are most important for us to survive. If there is a dearth of this primary production, it will be difficult to survive on this planet. Then secondary production and services are helpful in doing the primary productions. And then tertiary production and services are mostly needed for participation in the larger order. So if we try to decide its priority order will be primary, secondary, and tertiary. So if we follow this order in the society, everyone will have enough physical facility, everyone will have right understanding, and everyone can produce with this clarity of need. So this is what we have discussed about the priority order of the production. So this is a small assignment. You can work with yourself, make a list of all physical facility and services being used in our home. You can categorize all these physical facilities and services under the column primary, secondary, and tertiary. From this list, you can get an idea of how many types of production and services are needed in the society. Then the list can also be divided on the basis that a particular production is related to nurture, protection of the body, or running of the social system. All this homework you can do at your home. In this manner, you will be able to see the priority order which is being followed in the society. Then last issue is how to produce. So how to produce? According to natural laws, laws of mutual fulfillment in nature. So there are 4 most important points to be considered. Number 1, our processes should be mutually enriching. Then the rate of production and consumption of produced faculty, it should be taken care. Then mutually enriching cyclic process of byproducts. So whatever production is being done, its byproduct should be recyclable. It should be mutually enriching to rest of the orders. And then evaluation of appropriateness of the technology before its generalization. So if we consider all these 4 points, then we can have a production process that would be mutually enriching with rest of the nature. So let's see one by one. Mutually enriching process means process according to natural laws, cyclic and mutually enriching process of earth and its resources should be ensured while producing anything. So whatever production process we are going to use, it should follow the natural laws, cyclicity, mutual enrichment with rest of the natures. Otherwise, it would be exploitative. So we have already gone through this figure of the 4 order. If you see the 3 order, plant order, material order, and animal order, you can see all these 3 orders are cyclic and mutually enriching to each other. But there is a question mark on human being. So if we have right understanding, if we ensure such kind of processes, such kind of production processes that ensure mutual enrichment and cyclic with rest of the nature, then the whole globe will be prosperous. But due to lack of this right understanding, due to not following the natural laws, the human being unknowingly exploiting rest of the 3 orders. So it should be taken care while establishing any production process that our production process should be cyclic and mutually enriching. So when and where to produce? So produce according to season and region. It is very important. So whatever is produced according to season and region, it actually nurtures the body. So material should be produced in their natural season of growth or production. Material should be produced in geographical region where they grow naturally. So when we grow or produce a material in other season or region, then they may increase the related problems. So in fact, all those things which are seasonal and regional actually nurture the body. Then rate of consumption of a material should be less or at max equal to the rate of production. So if we are not taking care of this rate of consumption, then our production process will become exploitative. So minimize the use of materials which are not being produced. If they are used, their reuse and recycle should be ensured. So rate of consumption faster than the rate of production results in depletion of resources. So if we keep rate of consumption faster than the production ability of the earth, then it will exploit the whole nature and resources. There will be problem of resource depletion. So pollution is one of those problems if we do not follow these natural laws. So pollution is basically, it does not return to the cycle in nature. So whatever is not mutually enriching would become a pollution, a garbage for us. So pollution is because of these two things. One may be that we are producing at a rate that is faster than the consumption, or it is not returning to the nature. That's why there is a pollution. Similarly, all the byproducts coming out from our production system should be absorbed in nature in accordance with mutually enriching cyclic process. So if we follow all these rules, or if we take care of all these points, then our production becomes ethical. If we ignore any of these natural laws, then our production process, we may say that it is unethical. Accordingly, we can evaluate our technologies. So we should take care while designing any technology, while doing any invention, whether this technology is going to complement with rest of the nature or not. So we can have guidelines of technology related to these natural laws. Then minimum requirement of any production system is that it should not harm nature in any way. But along with that, it will be better if the production process enriches the nature. So no harm is indicator of protection, and helping the nature to prosper is an indicator of enrichment. So protecting the nature means our technology, our production system is not harming the nature. So we should design our production system such that we can contribute in the enrichment of the nature. So we have studied this 4 order, its innateness, its natural characteristics, and with this understanding, we can design our production process, our production system, so that it becomes complement to rest of the nature. So our production system or technology should facilitate the existence of physical order by ensuring conducive environment and ensuring its constitution. Similarly, with bioorder, it should facilitate its growth, or at least it should not disturb the growth. And with animal, it should facilitate care of the body by ensuring physical facility, conducive environment for their existence. And for human order, it should facilitate will to live with continuous happiness. So if we design our production processes, if we design our technology, keeping this participation in the center, then our production system becomes ethical. So let's sum up the whole things. We started with the production. we started with the production, and we talked about what to produce, how much to produce, where to produce, and we saw that we should follow natural laws while designing the technologies, while designing the production system. If we do that, then our production systems become ethical. So that's all from my side for this lecture. In the next lecture, we will talk about policies related to production. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.